2009. The SDNY predates the Department of Justice by 80 years. It is sometimes referred to as the Sovereign District of New York, which, as backhanded compliments go, is pretty much a classic of the form. What the moniker signifies is that the office is both admired and envied. Among the criminal class, it is feared. Its stubborn independence is sometimes read as arrogance. But my resistance to Trump's chosen leaders of DOJ was never a matter of pride or turf. It was about protecting a bulwark of the rule of law, a monument to our nation's highest values. Part of what gives SDNY its unique status is geography. The Southern District encompasses all of Manhattan along with the Bronx and 6 counties to the north of the city. Its headquarters, an unremarkable 9-story building at 1 St. Andrews Plaza in Lower Manhattan, sits on the doorstep of Wall Street. Very little of any import or scale takes place in the world without some of the money behind it moving through New York's financial institutions. That has long given SDNY not just a national, but a global reach. The office is a magnet for elite legal talent. There were 220 prosecutors who worked under me, including 15 in an office in White Plains. Commonly called AUSAs, the full title is Assistant United States Attorney. They were generally young, many of them in their late 20s or their 30s, but it was nobody's first job. They came from top law firms, in many cases after first serving in prestigious judicial clerkships after law school. All of them started out in our version of boot camp, a year in the General Crimes Unit. Everyone in the office worked long hours, including nights and weekends, for a fraction of the salaries they could earn in the private sector. It was collaborative work. The office functioned as one team. We partnered on cases with agents from the FBI's New York field office, which has its own legendary reputation, along with highly trained agents and officers from the Drug Enforcement Administration, New York City Police Department, Department of Homeland Security, Postal Inspection Service, and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The combination of these potent resources, both human and structural, sets the Southern District apart. It was the SDNY that won convictions against the financial fraudsters Bernard Madoff, Ivan Boesky, and Michael Milken. It prosecuted terrorism cases tied to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombings in East Africa. It put Francis Lavoti, the New York Police Department cop who choked and killed Anthony Baez, behind bars. 70 years ago, SDNY prosecuted the spying cases against Alger Hiss and Ethel and Julius Rosenberg. I did my best to carry on this tradition during my tenure as U.S. Attorney. We pursued some of the nation's most important and high-profile prosecutions against Chris Collins, the congressman who pleaded guilty to a brazen insider trading scheme and was later pardoned by Trump, Michael Cohen, the president's former lawyer and fixer who was convicted on campaign finance and tax charges, and Jeffrey Epstein, the notorious sex trafficker of girls and young women who committed suicide in prison before we could bring him to trial. The office later indicted and convicted at trial his close associate and accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. A case we brought against the Turkey-based Hawk Bank for conspiring to violate U.S. sanctions against Iran demonstrate our ability to take on highly complex investigations that sprawl across national borders. I believe we improved life in New York by convicting members of a brutal drug gang known as 9 Trey, with the rapper 6ix9ine as our star witness, and by forcing the New York City Housing Authority to address horribly inadequate conditions endured by hundreds of thousands of its tenants. Our ability to use the power of the law to return paintings stolen by Nazis to the heirs of the families that once owned them was a source of deep satisfaction to me and many others within SDNY. At all times, we strove to do our jobs without fear or favor. We prosecuted friends of the president, and we prosecuted one of his most persistent antagonists,